Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is the show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I get to sit down with the band Whale and the Wolf. Without any further ado, here's the interview. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Been very excited to talk to you today, and we do appreciate you guys taking the time. Before we kind of jump into the meat and potatoes of what we wanted to talk to you today about, which is obviously your music, I want to kind of start at the beginning. And to each of you, I want to ask, what is your earliest musical memory?
Probably. I wonder if all three of ours isn't somewhat similar. We all went to church. That's probably it, right? Like that's it. Like being forced to sing. You know, you're like, well, you kind of just get used to singing in public, and it's not a weird thing. So, like, you know, like I think that's probably realistically where it first sort of sparked, and then like. You know, you're in elementary school, all the like pageants that happen throughout the year that you're forced into like singing. I don't know. I think that those are, looking back at it, you probably hated doing it when you were a kid, but it probably helped mold us into, I don't know, it was probably the building blocks we needed to kind of be comfortable with what we do now.
Heard that.
It's either that for me or my mom had this Oprah special of Michael Jackson. That was an hour long, and I remember watching it and then sitting on the carpet and rewinding it and then watching it and then rewinding it and watching it for years.
On VHS?
On VHS. Might have been beta.
Yeah?
Wow. It'd be pretty sick that was beta. For people that are watching at home that don't know what beta is, that was the predecessor, the competition to VHS that eventually kind of died out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, Luke, what you got
my dad played the accordion. So a lot of like family gatherings, and anytime there's anything, you'd always crack it out. So seeing that, you know, and growing up as a young kid and polka, and you're like, but now that you hear it, I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet.
We are from, what you'd probably associate with like the Midwest of the US of Canada. Like we're right in the middle of our country, grew up. And it was a lot of
Ukrainian, German descent.
Sort of polka, like dance, like all that kind of stuff. So a lot of accordion, a lot of kind of country western flair, kind of stuff like that. So my parents, I watched them play in a band when I was a young kid for all the dances and whatnot that happened in our small town and whatnot. So it was just always around us.
Yeah.
Was there like somebody in each of your lives that really kind of like pushed you into playing music, or like was that like something that you came up with? I don't know. What's each of your stories?
Like I think for me, like I really wanted a bass for a long time. Everybody had guitars or some sort of instrument. I played the saxophone in elementary school. Actually, we both did.
Yeah, him and I went to elementary school together. Yeah. We're OG. We've known each other since we were like grade 1.
Oh wow, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
So and then like I don't know, I just kept begging, and they kind of like, especially my parents, they thought like this, you know, I skateboarded. We've done a whole bunch of different things that, you know, they spend a lot of money on, and then 2-3 months down the road just don't want to do it anymore, right? So they thought it'd probably be the same thing with a bass, but eventually I did get one, and I don't guess your question. No, actually they kind of tried to talk me out of it, I guess you should say.
Yeah.
I wanted to play guitar, but my parents said if I was going to play any instrument, I had to start with piano. And I did like 6 years of Royal Conservatory, and I would just practice and stare at my dad's guitar for years until I could finally play guitar. And it wasn't until like after university that I played piano in a band. Wow.
Well, see, all the music theory is based around piano, though. So, I mean, I always... You know, I tell my music students that take lessons from me, I'm like, learning piano will help you with other instruments. But yeah, completely different beast, you know.
I wish I had piano background. I wish I had that.
Yeah. I'm thankful now, but it wasn't then.
My family always had a PA system, like a board, like for live mixing and like speakers and a drum kit. So I always learned, like, you know, in a weird way, I learned the tech side of it at a very young age, to be able to like make noise and plug a mic in and all that stuff that's like super important to our band, and I mean just being in the business in general. So I was just always around it. We always had the equipment as a family because my parents played in that band, and all the stuff was really old and outdated, but it still obviously worked for what we needed to make noise. So I think the first instrument I probably realistically played was drums, and I never really got great at it, but enough to keep rhythm, still can sort of. No, never got that good at it. I
Never,
did.
yeah.
But like, you know, like pushed me into sort of like, I don't know, singing and playing the acoustic guitar and stuff like that, and just having the building blocks to write a song kind of thing. So yeah.
How exactly did you guys get started? It sounds like you and Luke were really kind of connected at a very young age, but how did you kind of get together everybody else and really start the group?
Lucas and I are from a town called Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is like dead center of Canada. Dead center.
Hub City.
It's probably a population of, I think, like
280,000.
280. So it's like 280,000. It was quite a bit smaller when we grew up there. So we always played in bands together growing up from a young age, probably from like grade 9 and on. Like Lucas and I have been playing music together. You think about it now for a long time, like 18 years or something like that. Something in and around that, let's just say. We moved out to Edmonton, Alberta. That's where we're based out of. That's where we're coming to you from right now. And we started playing in a couple of bands, cover bands off the top, just cutting our teeth, learning how to play live, learning how to figure that all out, and trying to throw some originals in there to see how the crowd pops to them, right? So we've been playing together for a very, very long time. We kind of got into the Edmonton music scene, which Edmonton's like rock music scene. Edmonton is a pretty rough around the edges town. It's like an oil, like blue collar town. So they really dig their rock and roll. They really like going out to shows. It's a really good place to sort of like, with a lot of great venues, and a lot of people are really passionate about rock music. So it really worked to our favor that that's what we kind of like to do. Yeah. So the scene, like the music scene here is great. And we had a really good, like when we met Keenan, it was just like this really great pocket of like 5, 6, 7, 8 bands that we all just sort of like built these bills around, like from weekend to weekend to weekend, playing in like dirty clubs. And that's where we met Keenan. Was like he was playing in a band called Forrester, which he still plays in. We were playing in a band called the Teenage Gentlemen, and we were playing on bills and reciprocating and doing all this stuff. And then and then our guitarist was in another band, and then our drummer was in another band, and in sort of just this magical scenario, a few bands broke up all at once. And then we were like, well, hey guys, you guys want to play in a band together? And that's sort of where it sort of came together. It just sort of worked out for us anyway, yeah.
Most everybody watching this interview has probably heard your music, and it's got a really hard-hitting, kind of like a really tight sound. I was really amazed, specifically as a musician myself, to hear how tight your arrangements were, because and you're singing especially, like you have this kind of, and I'm not going to do anywhere good as you, but you have this kind of thing where you go like this, and it's really cool.
That's pretty good.
I like it, but it's like really cool and intense, and it really strikes an emotional chord, specifically with me, but I know a lot of other people because I know you have a lot of people that love your music. When you write your songs, like, do you guys tend to write collaboratively, or do you, each of you kind of bring in songs together, and like, do you go in kind of saying that's the kind of music that we want to make, or is it like we're just going to play and see wherever it takes us, like basically kind of throw things at the wall and whatever sticks, regardless if it sounds like the last stuff we did or not, we're going to do?
I think it's there's a bit of both, kind of. Like there's been times where Ryan will come in with already a song basically written, or Keenan, for example, and then we just add our own parts to it. And then there's other times like, someone forgets something at home and we're waiting for him to come back and just start jamming on something, and it comes out that way. So it's,
we've had a couple of accidents like that.
Yeah,
where we wrote a song because someone forgot their cymbals. You know what I mean?
It's just, I don't think there's ever any kind of like sit down and, okay, this is the direction that we want to write a song, and let's write a song like that. Again, like there's stuff that we don't have recorded and released. There's stuff that pulls more from like a singer-songwriter countryside to stuff that's kind of borderline like hardcore as shit. Like,
pushing on punk a bit.
Yeah.
But I think as far as like us sitting there and trying to figure out what we're trying to sound like, I don't think we've ever done that. And I think that that's what makes our live show really, really entertaining and really like surprising along the way.
A little more dynamic.
A little more dynamic, but I think that also like that has been a big struggle for us is that we've heard this for years and years and years. Maybe it's been a hindrance to us, but everyone always says you got to find your sound, and I don't think we've found our sound.
Yeah.
But I think our sound is not really having a sound. You know what I mean?
Or
Like,
else we'll get you're too hard for this type of genre, but you're not hard enough for this type of genre. You know, you fall in between the crack and that, and to me, I would rather just be who we are than try to fit into some sort of mold, because I think that would just wreck the whole thing.
Yeah, I heard you guys described yourself on your website as hard pop. I've never heard that before, but I think that's a really cool description of it, I guess.
there are very much like in the melody, in the songwriting. I don't mean to. It just comes out that it's very melodic, and I think that lends itself to a more of a pop setting. But I think the music we write is a bit heavier, and the connotations of the lyrics are quite dark. You know what I mean? So dark pop, hard pop, I don't know what you want to call it, but that's sort of, I guess, where we sort of land.
The boys like us and the girls love us, right, boys?
Well, this is a more specific question for you, Ryan. Like when you write your actual lyrics out and everything, do you tend to go more for like an experiential kind of standpoint with your lyrics? Because I mean, it seems a lot like they have to be coming from somewhere, or you're just a really awesome storyteller just crafted this out of nothing. I don't know, specifically the lady got her snake on her hip, like that.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, do you, experiential storytelling, how do you go about, like, crafting stories?
I would say that, like, my personal life is pretty pedestrian, but I have led, I don't know, I've been around people whose lives are a lot more interesting than mine. And I think that none of the songs are autobiographical to, like, my own life, but definitely, like, they are from the canon of like my realm of what I've experienced in my life and the people who I've been around. And sort of like, I think that they definitely, you could sort of like, they're on the canvas that is my life, but none of the stories that I sing about are really about my life at all.
Let's hop away from music just for a second and kind of do something a little off the wall. And I imagine you guys all have kind of artistic endeavors, I imagine, outside of music, but just in general, this could be anything. If you guys weren't playing music, what would you be doing?
Keenan?
Graphic design.
Keenan is, we just put a music video out last week. Keenan did all of it. We're lucky that like we have a very talented, like he did all of our artwork. So if you check out like anything to do with our EP, he's doing all the artwork. He's doing all the digital design. He's doing all the social media sort of like curation to give us this like uniformed look and vibe. So he did all the videography on like all of our music videos for the last like 5 years or so. So he is a very talented graphic designer, and he does a lot of work for bands across Canada and I guess around the world, right? Like Australia and whatnot. Yeah. So that's what he does on the side, and we're just happy to have him in there.
Awesome.
You go first.
What would I be doing? Oh man. When I was a kid, this is what I want to be doing. But when I was a kid, I remember wanting to be a helicopter pilot, but I'm colorblind, so I can't.
Oh.
I honestly, like, I have absolutely no idea. I'd probably just work. Like, I don't know, try to pay rent or something. Like, yeah. I honestly, like, I played hockey. But yeah, sure, I'd be a wrestler.
A pro wrestler.
Pro wrestler. That'd be cool. What would be your wrestling name? Your wrestling name, if you had to choose?
I didn't even have to. This wasn't even my idea to say that. So I don't know.
Lucky Lou.
Yeah, Lucky Lou. Sure. Thanks, Haley.
I like that. The ace of base, Lucky Lou. There we go. I like that. Very nice, very nice. Well, it sounds, I mean, regardless of what you guys be doing, it sounds like you always stick kind of like something in the art realm. I don't know if, I guess helicopter flying is sort of art, but you know.
Oh, you can do some stunts.
Oh, yeah. Sky art.
You can make it art. I'd probably be one of those like skywriters, but with a helicopter.
Yeah, with the little things behind it. Yeah.
Very slow and anticlimactic, and the blades would blow away. It would be a bad business plan.
Actually, I'd probably own a paintball course. I'm changing my answer. That's what I'll do.
Anyway, hopping back into the music, you guys have teamed up with some really awesome producers. Specifically, I have the names right over here, Jimmy Mansfield and Paul Rogers. I believe Jimmy Mansfield, he's Grammy nominated, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jimmy and Paul are actually, I should have my geography better, but they are from Nashville, Tennessee. And I just bumped into Jimmy one night. I was on like a leisure trip down there, as one does. And I just bumped into Jimmy at a burlesque show, and we got to talking and kind of hit it off, I guess, for as long as we could. And then kept in touch online, sent him some of the music we had done. He had deemed that it didn't suck. So he thought that we could talk about maybe flying him and his producing partner up here, Paul, up to Canada last summer. And they got a real kick out of being up here. And we recorded, an EP in like 12 days at a studio up here in Canada. And it was a blast. They're unreal dudes. We talk to them very often. They're very much a part of sort of our lives. In many ways, just a friendship that I don't know. We're sort of bonded for life in the music that we've created. And they've sort of found their ways into our lives just being buds. You know, we want to catch up, make sure they're doing okay, especially through all the crazy times right now. And they're just fantastic human beings and even better producers.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I do want to hop on your one of your latest singles, which is Midnight Riot. Well, what's kind of the story behind that song? Like songwriting wise, I know you probably don't want to like give too much away. You probably want people to take their own interpretation out of it. But like, to you, what's like the story behind that song, and what does it mean to you?
I find that a lot of the songs that I write have a bit of a cynical outlook on life, and I think that a few of the themes I've found that a couple of our songs sort of are based around is terrible people getting into who are like on their own, probably not in a good spot to be in a relationship, coming together to form even worse like duos, you know? And that song to me, just it paints a picture of my younger days when we used to go to like bush parties and, you know, do all kinds of terrible things that were sort of probably on the outside of the law. And just the people in my lives that should not have been in a relationship together because they were terrible for one another. But God, it was probably a lot of fun while it lasted. You know what I mean? That relationship that I think many of us have been in, or that person we've sort of been like interested in, where you're like, this is not good for either of us, but this is a lot of fun. It's not going to last, but let's have a little bit of fun while it's going, you know? So I don't know. I think it just sort of like the backdrop is when you're young, dumb, doing stupid stuff that borders on being illegal, and getting in a bit of trouble, and being around bad people.
Awesome, and that's all on streaming right now. And real quick, before we kind of get into like plugging the social media accounts and everything, what's next for you guys? Do you guys have anything kind of coming down the pipe as far as new music, live streams and stuff?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Okay.
I guess what I would tell you is you have your hands on our entire EP, like our 5-song EP.
And I've listened to it.
So those songs don't exist up here in Canada yet. Like we gave that CD out to college radio in the US, and that campaign is like wholly its own thing. So up here in Canada and on streaming, we only have Midnight Riot from that EP out in the world, as far as like you can go and find it online. So realistically, like we're doing the thing that every artist is doing these days, where we're releasing single one at a time online. We're packing it with a bunch of content that revolves around it, creating a vibe around the song in an artistic manner, telling a story with video with each single that's going to be coming out. And probably over the next 4 months, we're going to have a ton of content that's going to be built around all these songs. So there's a song called Veins off of our EP. We're going to be putting that out to streaming next, I think, as far as the order is concerned. We have a music video shot for that, which is like pretty high concept for us producing it on our own. And we're really...
Yeah, another one we shot all by ourselves too.
I think that's like our thing, is like, especially because of the way it is now with COVID and just sort of the way the music industry is now. We got to do a lot of stuff on our own, and I think we're getting really good at doing it on our own.
If people want to keep a track of what's going on with you guys, how can people keep a track of you on social media?
We're on everything.
Yeah, I think what I shouldn't say the only thing we're not really hot on is TikTok.
I think you guys
We
aren't
are-
allowed
I
to
don't
have
think you
it.
need to be hot on TikTok right now. I think you guys can probably skip that one. So
Yeah, so Facebook, I think Instagram's our big sort of engine for that stuff. But Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube.
Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, our new music videos on YouTube.
iTunes, Google Play.
Yeah, we're sort of everywhere that music lives, whether it be in audio or video. So I think the big thing we're trying to really push is that new music video we just put out. We're really happy with it.
Yeah.
So YouTube, yep.
lovely. Well, thank you guys so much. Right before we end, I do want to ask you one more question. I don't know if you've ever watched a Big Bang Radio Spotlight before, but along with a musician, I love film. We do a show here called Big Bang Cinema, and I think a lot of musicians have a soft spot for film in some way, form, or fashion, and I think they're not too many worlds away, and a lot of people are even involved in film that are musicians. So before we go, what is each of your favorite movies?
Uncle Buck.
That's a good
Hands
one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to drop on you just because it's here. It's in my brain and you said it. Home Alone.
Okay.
You love that answer.
Yeah, I like that. But those are a couple of Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, but say there's a Macaulay Culkin theme going on right now.
Yeah.
I'll throw a Kieran Culkin movie in there. Because I'm obsessed with editing. I love that side of the film industry. We'll go with Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, the editing on that is insane.
Yeah,
Favorite movie?
that's pretty.
And it was shot in
it's pretty
Toronto,
damn good.
wasn't it?
A lot of it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I said Jurassic Park.
Thanks to Whale and the Wolf for sitting down with us and talking all about their music. If you guys want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashComCollege, or you can find us on Instagram at Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.